Hello, folks, and welcome to Let's Learn Dwarf Fortress. I'm KirinDave, and I'm here to tell you all about Dwarf Fortress. This series is primarily for people who play games like Minecraft. They're a little bit less involved and a little bit more graphically intensive than games like Dwarf Fortress. And probably tell them that this is a great game and you should try playing it, even though it's a little intimidating to start. Hopefully, I can reduce some of the legendary difficulty. Now, last time we made the world Defini Amatha and looked at some of its legends. Looks like a cool place that I'd like to go visit. So let's go ahead and hop in and start up Dwarf Fortress mode. It's going to take a sec to load, and then we're going to get to one last ugly screen. I promise you, this is the last really ugly part of the game. Sadly, they can't redo this part just yet because they're working on other parts, but you'll see that we actually have some relatively modern graphics lying up ahead. So we are going to go ahead and start. It's simulating, updating the world, and getting us to where we are. So you can see it has 10, 11, 12. In just a moment, it'll be done simulating the world, and we can go ahead and start. It's the 15th of Granite in 125. Now, don't be intimidated by what you see here. There's a lot going on, but it's fine. We can see the whole scope of the world. We can see in the north there's ice caps and there's an evil glacier and a tower of icy lichdom or whatever up there. And you can see that. So look at the little flashing, you'll see a little flashing yellow X moving. It's, here, I'll circle my mouse around it. But this is where our cursor is. And I'm just using the arrow keys to move this around. But we can see all sorts of up here. If you look in the upper right over here, you will see, hopefully you can see my cursor, the Arctic Ocean, temperature is freezing. There's no trees. It's wilderness. But over here, we actually have a place that's evil. And it has a strange, mysterious place. This is the Blizzard of Cherishing. And looks like the Azud Rosusum, the places there. Who even knows what sort of creatures could brave such incredible hardships and live up there? I don't think that that's going to be us, because you probably want to go for something a little bit more straightforward. Meanwhile, over here, you could see all sorts of other things going on. So you'll watch the little yellow X. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and find a suitable place, a nice, mellow place for us to embark. Now, what that means is that we're going to want to find places with specific characteristics. We can talk all day about the characteristics of a good start, but we need to. What we actually want to do is hit the F key, which is, if you look at the bottom, you'll see it says find desired location. Now in the upper right, we're just going to find a 3x3 location, and we use the up and down keys and then the left and right to change things. What you want to say is that you want a flux stone layer. That means that we can make steel. You want no aquifer. Aquifers just make a beginner's game more complicated. Later on, they're really fun and interesting, but they're just kind of complicated. We'd like to have shallow metal, deep metal, some soil, and some clay. There's not going to be any sites in the world this awesome, but, it should be easy. We could also say that the evil should be low, or the savagery should be low, but I'm not going to restrict that. If we find someplace cool near an evil biome, I'll run with it just so you can see how terrible things can go. I'm going to press enter now to do the search, which will just take a moment. Now, you can see that the entire world is getting covered with red X's and a few green ones. The red X's mean that we've looked there, and there's no site. Now, it'll go over the world pretty fast, actually, because it has this all sort of set up. And we're going to look for a place that's not too dry, not too cold, not too hot, and that has a little bit of water so that we can actually do what we want to do. The place I found in the last world was this beautiful set of steps near an evil biome. All right, so we have searched the world, and you can see a bunch of flashing green X's all over the place. Looks like we've got some nearby us. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter escape to browse the results. And now I'm in control of the little X. So I'm going to go to someplace, let's see, where is my X? Sometimes you have to move around a little bit. And by the way, so you can see this X in the middle of the ocean there, my flashing yellow X that's going across the world. If you hold down shift, anytime in Dwarf Fortress, whenever you're moving and you hold down shift, you move faster. You move 10 times as fast. So we're moving 10 squares. So let's look around. It looks to me like there's a little bit of unsettled land in these mountains over here. So let's go over here. And we can see that there's actually what looks to be a hillside. Now, there's all sorts of crazy things we can do, like view biomes, or we can look at all sorts of interesting things. It looks like we've got a hilly area. So you've seen the map on the right, and you've seen me moving around my cursor on the map on the left. Now, let me direct you to the local map in the very upper left. A little bit harder to read, but you'll notice that there is a little area over there. Let's see. We can see the biomes. We're going to move the local area. And this uses the U, M, K, and H keys. Sometimes you need extra extra things. So you can see up in the upper left, there's a little square. It's a 3x3 square, as we specified, that we're looking for with all sorts of cool things. Now, if we use M and U, we move up and down, and we H and K, it goes left and right. So I'm trying to look around for some place that has the stuff I want. Now, if you look in the upper right, it'll tell you there's woodland, it's cold here, but it's not crazy cold. It's not freezing. It's a wilderness. There's moderate vegetation. And there's a brook nearby. If we get close to the brook, you'll notice that the little blue aquifer shows up. I would rather not have an aquifer in our first playthrough, so I'm going to avoid it. Although if you can find a river without an aquifer, that's awesome, and you should do that. Here we see lots of other things in the mountains with moderate vegetation, no trees at all, which is just no good. We want some trees. So we're going to go over here. It looks like here we have sand, clay, a little bit of soil, shallow and deep metal. Can we find one with flux stone? Let's see. Aha. We've got shallow metal, deep metal, and let's see if we can go a little bit north. All right, we'll settle with this. Sand, soil, shallow metal, and flux stone. We may have to trade for some of the deeper metals, but I'm sure we'll find gems, and trading is part of the game, so that's really fun. Once you're ready and you've selected a spot, you press the E key, and by the way, it actually lists all the keys downstairs. So you can see, by the way, if you hit tab, that you'll see all sorts of other things, like here's our elevation map, here's our cliff indicator. We've actually got some cliffs near us, all sorts of interesting things. I'm going to hit embark. Now, what's really cool about this lazy noob pack, as they call it, is that it comes with preset embarks. Now, these aren't always perfect. They don't always work exactly, but it's a pretty good idea to use one of these to start. I like using Gorney's Easy Peasy Start. It's a very good start, or the Nebulatron Start, which is also a really, really easy start. We're going to use the Nebulatron Start for this one, but I recommend that you try any of these except for the disciplined ones. Because they're a little bit more advanced on purpose, and in fact they're useful and they're really actually pretty easy to use, but we're not going to focus too much on them. You'll note that this says we've got miners, a grower, a carpenter. If we wanted to, we could actually prepare for the journey carefully and go through and tailor every single one of our dwarves perfectly. We're not going to do that this time because we're just trying to show off the basics of the game. When I start a normal game and I do a let's play as opposed to a let's learn, we'll do that too. Now, this works perfectly. We've got everything that we need. We've got all sorts of interesting stuff over there. I'm just going to say, first, I'm going to hit capital G. I want to name the group. This is the Prestigious Nets. That's the prestigious I like. But if I select the rear compound, I could probably pick something interesting. Like, how about the Prestigious Ale? I like it. Wait, no, this is not what we wanted though. Ale the Prestigious Nets. Huh. Let's go ahead and clear that. The Prestigious Nets. How about the X? So we'll make that the Prestigious Ale. And we'll be known for our awesome ales. How about the Prestigious Ales? Yes, the Prestigious Ales, because we're dwarves. We're definitely going to be drinking. Okay, we're done. We'll return to the game. Sorry, I hit escape too many times there. We can also name, so that's the name of the group. We're also going to name the fortress. This one's called Aristomid, Daggerblade. Actually, that's kind of cool. We're going to leave it as Daggerblade. I'm going to press E now to embark. Now, again, I want to stress that we've used a profile. We've done a ton of customization. There's all sorts of things that we've done. If you hit tab, you'll see that there's stuff we've got here. We've got seeds and beer and an anvil and crossbows and all sorts of stuff. We're going to embark. So I press E, and now it takes just a moment, but you'll find yourself in a world. And now I'm going to do a couple things to show you. It basically says we've arrived from the mountain homes. We're going to find a way to make Daggerblade, Aristomid, a wonderful place to live. But here's where the graphics get a lot better too. All right, now check it out. So notice the graphics right away are a lot better. Now I'm using the Iron Hand pack, but you can use whatever you want. It's cold here, cold and frigid. And so first thing we're going to learn about is if you push the arrow keys on your keyboard, you're going to move around. And we have a nice little area here that we're going to do. If you hit tab, you can rearrange these things. So I like to move that over, and you'll see why in a little bit. But basically, let's get a survey of the world. I like what I'm seeing here. I'll explain it all in just a minute. But the first thing you want to know about is arrow keys move you around. And the next thing you want to know about is that the greater than and less than signs move you up and down. So here I'm going to move down. And you'll see that we're going further and further down, further and further down. And then over here, there's only a little part of the map that's actually at this level. So basically, we're on a big slope. right? And if you look over here in the middle of the screen, you'll see that there's a couple of dwarves, some cats, some birds, and generally they look kind of miserable, huh? And you'll also notice these strange little round brown circle things, which I'll circle the mouse around, and then you'll see a couple more of them over here. And if we go down, so I'm going to go down a few levels, you'll see there's just one round brown one, and we go up there. That's the actual trees of the world. So that's right, there's generating trees. So the next thing you'll want to know about, the most important thing, don't forget this key, this is the most important one, K. K will put an X cursor in the world, and you can move it around with arrow keys or shift arrow keys if you want to go faster. And that, if you put it over something, it tells you exactly what that is. So this is Kol Udibkin, the mason. Over here is Idem Lokasastad, I don't know, the miner, and standing in a pile of snow. There's snow-covered dense needle grass. So we've arrived in the dead of winter. It's cold. We need to think about basically making a home as fast as possible, because if things don't warm up soon, people could die. Now, so you'll notice that there's open space out over here, but if we go down with the greater than key, we'll find a bunch of dense grass and move down even further. And there's all these trees, right? Now, these sorts of things are now up here at the very top. You also notice some green where it looks like things haven't been quite frozen. Let's go down one so we actually get there. Snow-covered birch twigs. So there's birch trees, there's ginkgo trees. We're in an interesting biome. So let's go ahead and head back down to ground level. And basically what we've got here is a bunch of dwarves, a stray horse. It looks to be some turkeys, turkey gobbler, and a turkey hen, and a big wagon. This is what we pulled up all our stuff in. Now, the next thing I want to show you is that we go over here to this console here, and we're going to type in Stonesense here. This is the DF hack console, which lets you both cheat and fix some bugs. It's a really useful tool, and it's just part of what a lot of people use. Check it out. We run, it loads up, and then ta-da, we've actually got, if you drag your mouse around, you'll see it, we have got, and if you use the arrow keys, you can see it, an isometric view, little modern graphics of everything that we want. So let's go ahead and make that bigger. And if you use the arrow keys, you'll move around. And if you hit enter, you'll rotate. For now, though, what I'd like to do is suggest that you hit the F key. What the F key will do is start to follow. So basically that follows what's on the screen. So if I go here, right, I'm going to hit tab again. Sorry about that. I go over here. I can see our campsite hidden amongst the snow. And I can basically, kind of take a look at things from that perspective. So it's definitely really, really cool. And just remember to click back and forth between the windows properly. Otherwise, things can get a little bit confusing. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. I think that that's good. And we're back over here and ready to go. So the game is currently paused. It always starts paused, and that's good because you want to take a look around. These dwarves are going to need to figure out a place to live. Now, sometimes you have to dig straight down, but if we look over here, we'll notice this wonderful little slope. Now, it's kind of helpful when you're using Stonesense. You can look at either screen, and both screens are correct, right? But if you go over to Stonesense and you hold down Control and use the mouse wheel forward a few times, you'll get a whole bunch more layers. And that's really, really useful. So that you can see more things, particularly if we go up over. So I'm going to click back over on the Dwarf Fortress. And I'm going to go up a level or two. And you can actually see all the different things that we've got laid out here. You can see the tops of the forest and all these really interesting things laid out in the isometric view. So that's really, really cool. But if you look over here, and then we go up a few levels, you'll see there's this gentle cliff here. Now, I think that what we're going to do is have our dwarves dig into the side of this cliff. The most basic thing that you do in Dwarf Fortress is dig. So what you do is you press the first thing. If you look over in the upper right, you'll see a whole bunch of different unit things, and they probably don't make a ton of sense to you. But relax, because if you press D, this is the most important one, designations. This gives your dwarves jobs. We want to chop down trees, we want to mine, and we want to gather plants. Now, we can't see any plants underneath this fierce snow, but we will soon. So let's go ahead and start by mining. Now, if we designate a mine, we can move our cursor around like you've seen me do with the arrow keys. And if we hold down shift, we go faster. If you have the normal thing turned on, you can actually, the normal DF hack stuff turned on, you can actually use the mouse and click. So I recommend doing that. And I'm going to click because I think it'll be easier. What we're going to do is dig into the side of the mountain, right? And then we're going to dig a little chamber. So this is going to be our entrance into our new mountain home. We're going to have a nice broad area that links right in. And I think it'll be basically a big long hallway with a couple of little defensible areas on the side. So the other thing you can do is use the keyboard. Sometimes when you're making larger areas, the mouse is not as useful. If you hit enter and then kind of move around, you define squares. So there we go. We've got a nice area there. Now let's make an area for the dwarves to sleep in. Again, if you use shift, you can move faster. So this will be the area where the dwarves sleep. Let's make an area for the dwarves to party in. They got to have a place to kind of sit. And so we're going to put that there. Let's make an area for the dwarves to store their treasure in. This area should probably be bigger than the other areas because, let's face it, we're dwarves, we're going to get a lot of treasure, right? Finally, what we're going to do is go back. The reason I made this so wide was to show you something. Sometimes you'll make it something and you realize, oh, I actually don't want it to be that wide. I want it to do things, undo things. An easy way to do that, I hit D to start to mine designations, but you can also remove designations with the X key. You can think of the X key as kind of a cancel. I'm going to hit enter twice to kind of cut this out. So there's going to be one single entrance into the mountain hole, this door. And that'll help us make it more defensible. If goblins come, they can't just come in any way they want. They have to come in through the one door, which we can defend with traps and swordsmen and dogs and all sorts of devious constructions. But remember that this is just our starting hole. Eventually, we'll probably build something more grand as we dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And this goes really, 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 really deep. We can go hundreds of levels down. So, just remember that.